So the web.xml follows XML format. Here you have various elements in the web.xml. If I look at it, there is a display name in the web.xml. This is your application name. You can type any text here. Okay, and then welcome file list. Welcome file list is something, when I type a website, what happens? I don't type any extension there. I just type a website name. Then it directly, like, let me show that, with maybe one of my website. I made something, but I did not update any change. File I need to render. See here, it is able to show me something. Now when I click on the links, then some changes will be there. Okay, or at least let me see what I have. Yeah, see here, when I click on link home, then I have /home. So, but otherwise, when first time there are nothing, and it still actually has rendered some content. So a welcome file list is about which one should be shown when there is no file specified. There is an order. Okay, here I am specifying first thing is index.html. If there is a file called index.html, show that file. Then if that is not there, then maybe show index.htm. HTM and HTML both are same, but this HTM is more from a Microsoft world. When they create HTML file, they only store I saw, HTML also works, but generally like file extensions are of at least two or three characters. So to follow that notation, then .htm is used. Okay, so if that file is found, use that. If not, then see if you have something called index.jsp. If index.jsp is there, then render it. Something like this. Okay, so welcome files is primarily about which one should be shown when you access the website, but without specifying any specific HTML or specific content file, right? And then in a bare minimum simple servlet application, we will have another element called servlet. So please pay attention. This is an important concept that we will be discussing even going forward. If we need to create a servlet, servlet is a Java component that can render, that can work on a web server like Tomcat and take the request from the user and send response back to the user. Okay, so how do we configure? Say if I type, now I type /hello, where is it? Yeah, see here. Here I am saying office web /hello, and that is rendering me output. How this mapping is done? The mapping is done in this particular file in the web.xml. So how it works is, what is the servlet name? There are two different elements actually in the configuration. One is called servlet and other one is called servlet mapping. So in the servlet configuration, if you clearly look at it, let us start here. There is something called servlet class, right? There is something called servlet class, and here you need to give fully qualified class name, com.java.demo.hello-world servlet. This is my servlet class with the package name completely, right? I am giving some name to it so that I can refer in the servlet mapping. I am saying hello world servlet. This is also generated by Eclipse, but you can manually write as well. Okay, so I'm giving some name called hello world servlet here, and so that means that I have a servlet class and I'm giving a name to the servlet, right? And how do I map to the user friendly pattern, user friendly URL pattern? So I say servlet mapping and I say servlet name. I give the servlet name that I declared here, and I say URL pattern. If you miss anything, like I change the servlet name. Now if I try to run this, it should be throwing me an error, actually exception. It actually gave 404. I was expecting a 500 error. Why? So let me see if it really works now. I remove that error. Yeah, it works. There is some funny problem. I was really expecting it to. No, it should be throwing another error actually. So I'll add some exception. It should throw some exception. That's interesting. But let me not go deep into it now because I want to just introduce the concept. So for any servlet, you have two particular elements in this particular web.xml file, and this web.xml file is found in the web content, web.inf lib. Sorry, web.inf. Sorry, in the within the web.inf. Web.xml. So any servlet you create using Eclipse, it puts an entry into this particular file. Actually, two of them. One is called servlet element. One is servlet. This particular block followed by servlet mapping. Is this clear? Bare minimum configuration here. What you have is servlet class. You give the complete, fully qualified name and give a name to it, and then you map that particular name to a particular URL path. Right? It is clear?
And the display name can be anything, right?
Sorry?
In the servlet display name, it's a hello world server. It can be anything, right?
Yeah. Servlet display
You
name
can,
can be anything. There is more for from a display perspective. I guess even without this element also, this should work fine. Let me get rid of these two elements here. Now let me try to. It indeed works actually. You don't need those elements. They are not mandatory. They are optional fields. But because we are doing with Eclipse, so that actually adds them up. Right. So that's about how do we configure a servlet. Right now, in the server, how do I read a form element? Let us try to look at. I'll show you. I'll try to use the. Now this is clear, right? Okay. What I'll try to do is I'll try to use another servlet whatever we wrote, and just for simplicity, let me remove the. Let me run this servlet, and you will see an interesting error. See here, 405. I was talking about HTML, sorry, HTTP response codes, right? 405 means HTTP method get is not supported by this URL. Means that server is not having do get method, so it doesn't support get method. HTTP method get method. It does not support. But my intention is also that I really don't want to do anything with it. So what I'll do now is I'll write a simple form element. Okay. Can you understand what I'm trying to do? I'm creating a simple user interface with a form, and what I do that is I'll just try to, because there will be some issue with this. I'll try to do something called, yeah, let it be like this. User name. I'm just trying to put a simple HTML form. See here, I just made a simple HTML form. I can pretty much right click on the code and see view source, and it shows you the code. So the same code that I have right here, what I declared is that I declared a form that user, this is a form that I post to the server, registration form, login form, you have a lot of fields there, and this is a simple login form, right? And now here I'm saying, the method, which method, what type of HTML method I'm going to post this form. I mean, this here I'm using, the options you have is get, post, and some other methods, but get, post are the important ones that we always use. So here, post method, I'm declaring that, okay, I'll use post method, and action. What action should be performed on the server, to which particular page or servlet we need to send this request to. I'm saying another. This is a servlet. So I do have this particular form. So just type something. Let's say like this. Okay, there is a problem. So I did a mistake with the URL. I can just remove slash, and now it should work. Okay, let me type. It went to the servlet. Because I did not do anything there, so it doesn't show anything, but such as it submitted data to the servlet. Now what I wanted to really explore is that how do I read this data? I sent some data. Is this clear? The HTML simple form that I made, is this clear? In HTML you have various elements, and to generate a form and to generate input fields, you follow this syntax. This is more a syntax. You just need to know that every element has something called name. Every HTML element has input field such as have something called name, and you give a name, right? And also for input fields, for form fields, you have something called type. So whether what type of type it is, it can be input type, input field, text field. It could be password. The password field, the benefit is that whatever I type here, it shows as stars. Okay, and in case of a username, I type and it shows up here, right? So let me go to another servlet, try to read it, and we practice more and more servlets. So what happens is that you actually get a better understanding of it. Request dot get parameter username string equal to, okay, get parameter. This is how you read data from the browser. When a user posts a method, form, and you get the control to the servlet or JSP. Now right now the focus is on the servlet. So when we do this, we we have to give the same name that is there in the, see here, username. And let me go back to browser, sorry, this code, and here look at this name, username. So the parameter that comes to you from the browser, you have to use exactly the same variable name, so that you get the value, you get the corresponding value. Okay, the whatever you type in the input field for username, that value will come when you say request dot get parameter. Primarily, like, you have two particular main important, very important objects, that is HTTP servlet request and HTTP servlet response. HTTP servlet request is all about reading the response request. Whatever user is sending, then you have a reference to particular request. And the response is about HTTP servlet response object is all about whatever you want to write to the browser. You can use response dot get. You can operate on top of response object that gives access to create response to the browser so that user can see it, right? So what I have here is I just read these two parameters. Let's just print these values. Okay, so what I'll do is print writer. We have this particular reference in the IO stream that we learned. Writer equal to response dot get writer. So response has a writer reference that gives us a print writer. I need to do some import. Excellent, I am done. So let us write something. Writer dot write, and you say you have entered username name. I just want to print back the same values. And here the purpose of me writing this particular thing is to read the data from the form. And password. So what I'll do is insert. So what I do is not this one. Okay, this one. See here, you got it. I wrote some simple servlet to read the data. From the browser. So what are the things I did? This is what now for today. What I expect all of you to do is that to repeat the same thing. I'll commit this particular the project. I did not commit yet, but I'll commit this. This is the old page. Okay, I don't need this page. I don't need this hello servlet as well. What I have is a simple page where I displayed a form. Test one. I say, it shows that username and password. How did this happen? Is that the components involved here is that I have something called hello.html. Here I am actually creating a form. HTML syntax. This is the HTML syntax. Form. I am saying method equal to post and action equal to another. Another means this is a servlet. So when I specify like this, it goes in a relative pattern. Relative pattern means my application URL is till this point. Office web. Okay, so if I say another, it will put slash another, right? And if I want to use a slash, then I need to specify office web as well. If I specify this, it will work. I don't have entered anything, so but either ways it works. You need to provide a complete relative path slash your web application name and servlet name, or simply servlet name if you have your HTML file in the same application. And then I'm saying I'm writing a simple label here and say input type equal to text, name equal to username. Now input type equal to password, name equal to password. Now I'm saying input submit, and this second one is not really required. I'll remove that for now. and I'll say, and even if you want to say that shows as a submit query, so I want to change it to login. See here, now with the text is changed. So test and click submit, and it shows the response. So this is a dynamic page, okay? If the HTML is a static content, HTML is a static content. The servlets JSP why do we need is primarily is to provide a dynamic behavior to the user. You want to do something based on the logged in user, then this is a way to go. So is this clear? Now what the point that we are touch basing here is that how do we create a servlet in the first place, and how to understand web.xml, right? And a simple HTML page to simple servlet. Just a simple HTML page, hello.html, which has simple form with 2 input fields, and when I submit it, it goes to a servlet, and I get the data. It just shows the data back to the page.